Alright, making another video because I overextended my other reach on the other one, so... But the point I was getting at with the other video, which I was talking about movies and television and stuff like that, they don't hire real teenagers. Like, and again, nowadays they're doing that because they want everything to be grounded and realistic, which honestly I think is absolutely bullshit. It's like they're remaking The Craft, and I'm just like, no, I'm sorry, but... Even like the trailer, which I was like watching the bit of that, I'm like, I was kind of disgusted. I was like, no, this is like, I'm done with Hollywood. I'm just done. I want to get into the industry itself. I want to get into the movie making industry itself, but I think, and I mean this too, Hollywood itself is just a disgusting cesspool. And I know it's like, there's some people who've never been, it's like people go into politics and they become corrupted, but like, sometimes you just gotta know where your boundaries are, like, and I think people understand that, and it's like, and I mean, this is how I think happens when people go into the industry. They have some moral compass, and they have this, like, they basically didn't become corrupted by that system, you know what I mean? And what the fudge are you doing? God, no problem, man, no problem. Have a good day. UPS people, they just block traffic. They just blatantly block traffic. But anyway, I want to talk about that for a second because I want to talk about Hollywood and just that, and why I kind of went into film school and why I like dropped out of film school. I always thought there was some power in movies, and not to say I wanted unlimited power and stuff like that, and omnipotence power, unlimited power, but you can influence people with that medium, with movies and television. You can change people's lives for the better. Like, you watch a movie that like inspires you. Like, what was it? I'm gonna choose a baseball movie here. Like, I'm not choosing The Book because The Book is very like down, like very depressing. But the Natural with Robert Redford. In that movie, or a sports movie, or something like that, you see people like struggle to win, this ragtag team of people going against like, or the movie The Miracle. You see this ragtag team of people going up against like this elite team, and like they put every effort into it to go to the top. But no, I'm gonna choose the greatest sports movie ever, Rocky. You know, just some muscle. You know, this what are they called? You know, debt collector. You know, a muscle for a debt collector, and who basically gets, you know, called out by, you know, but to challenge Apollo Creed. He's basically being called out by a god. You know, there's a certain mythology into that. Like, Apollo Creed, like, there's a reason why he was called Apollo Creed. He's being called out by the god of the sun, you know. You know, they're challenging, like, Rocky Balboa is this guy from the underground, like from the dirt, and he's challenging a god, and he makes a god bleed. He basically, he loses that fight, but like, you know, he basically just like you know, puts that god to the test. Like, he basically goes the distance, and that's the beauty of that. That's the beauty of that. You feel for Rocky Balboa. You feel like you can do that. You feel like you can, you know, you're cheering that on, even though you know what the outcome is. You want Rocky Balboa to win. You know, it's like, that's why movies are so fucking beautiful. You know what I mean? We root for the underdogs. We root for the hero. We root for guys like, you know, John McClane. He's not, you know, yeah, he came over there to, like, you know, submit and, you know, kind of say, I quit and I fucked up, and, you know, but then he becomes that hero that we need. And I'm sorry, but, like, they butchered Die Hard, and it's still a Christmas movie. I don't care what anybody says. Die Hard is a goddamn Christmas movie, and if you don't agree with me, then you're a communist, or you're one of Hans Gruber's men. I didn't go to the bank, right? I need to go to the bank. My bad. I need to go to the bank right now. So, Christmas movies. Okay, so... No, I'm going to have to find another way around this. So, that's my whole thing. It's like, that's why cinema's so great. You know, you love seeing stories about underdogs and people rising to the occasion. You know, sometimes they're tragedies, but like, and again, with most movies, like another movie I'm going to mention, The Witch. The original ending to that movie was not a happy-go-lucky ending. Like, the original book ending was they both die at the end. Like, if you don't know the story, basically, and this is a spoiler warning if you didn't read the book, but then again, the biggest spoilers are in between because you get to know how they get to point A to point B. Everything in between is the more important part than the ending, in my mind. It's how you develop that ending is more important. Tarantino taught us that. So, one of the things I kind of like, why the book ending is so cool though, is the fact that at the end of the movie, you know, like the good witch that comes up and, you know, was working for the evil head witch that was, I forget her name. Damn it, Mrs. Gomez. She basically turns the boy into a, you know, a mount, you know, basically turns him back into a human at the end. But in the original book ending of the witches, they both die because the mice don't live that long, and the grandma didn't live that long because of her diabetes. And that's depressing, but it's like, you know, nobody wants an unhappy ending. People like a happy ending, and I have to agree with John Travolta at the end of Swordfish. People do like happy endings. You know, people will not accept an unhappy ending. People love happy endings. It's, you know, it sucks, but it's true. You know, it's like a great example he gives us the ending to. Well, this is what they have up here. They have a Wawa. Okay, I never knew there was a Wawa up here. Okay. We have a Chick-fil-A. We have a Remix Fitness Center. We have an AT&T store. We have Profile Weight Loss, and there's a lot of weight loss places. You know, just people need to just study. Whoa, that's a couple of ugly buildings over there. Ugh. I'm starting to hate apartment buildings. I really am. Ugh. I gotta move to the country, I'll tell you this much. I'm so fucking done with society. We live in a society. I am. I'm actually kind of done with the whole civilization, and I'm just done. What was I gonna say though? But the whole thing with movie, and that's the whole thing with movies in general. Like, why I went to film school was to make stories that could lift people up. Like, you know, my brother, before he passed away, we were talking, like, we would lay in, like, the couch in our old apartment talking about movies. He goes, Dad's right. When days were just rough, when things got tough, when the days got rough, there was always some comfort sitting back in your bed, watching a movie, and just chilling out. Like, you know, it was something comfortable to do. And that was the thing I remember about why I wanted to go to film school, was the fact that I wanted to tell stories that could help people through tough times. I wanted to make movies that kind of like, not just to be another Steven Spielberg. Of course not. Everybody, when people talk about like filmmakers and stuff like that, oh yeah, you want to be the next Steven Spielberg? It's like, no. I want to be the first James Conley. I want to be the first, like, that's a great quote from Jackie Chan. When people talk about him being the next Bruce Lee, he goes, no, I never wanted to be the next Bruce Lee. I always wanted to be the first Jackie Chan. Be like Jackie Chan. Be you the first you. And that is a lesson you should learn. That is a lesson you should definitely learn. Excuse me. Be the first you, not the next somebody else. And I feel like that's what people need to realize when they say shit like that. It's like, we've already had a Steven Spielberg. And plus, there's been people out there who've been doing, like, who are like Spielbergian, kind of like, but are not really Spielberg-like. You know what I mean? Like, J.J. Abrams comes to mind, but there's Robert Zemeckis. He's another one. trying to think who else. You know, there's been a lot of people who've been doing the Spielbergian thing, but like, the real thing comes from, you know, what you can learn from Spielberg, what you can learn from George Lucas. You know, people shit on George Lucas for making the prequels, but it's like, and for generally being a bad filmmaker, which I'm like, you know what? Give Howard the Duck a break. It's not a bad movie. Like, I will be the one to say this, but I'm gonna defend Howard the Duck. It's not a bad movie. It's like, because he's trying to tell us, and also people forget American Graffiti as well. You know, they also forget movies like that. You know, they forget stuff like that, like THX 185-6. I forget the name of the movie, but it's called THX, and it's starring Robert Duvall. And here's a great story. When he even first made the first movie of that, the first version of that as a student film, his film teacher blatantly said, well, we can't show this because it would embarrass the other students, you know, because of how big it was and all this. And this is a great story about another filmmaker I absolutely love, John Milius. John Milius basically was in that class when he heard that, walked up to the teacher and punched the teacher right in the face. That to me is like, first of all, kudos to John Milius for standing up for George Lucas. Second of all, kudos, like, that shows me that, like, John Milius is such a rebel when it comes to filmmaking, and people need to be inspired by that guy. They don't need to be inspired by, you know, just by George Lucas. They don't need to be inspired by just Martin Scorsese or Terrence Malick and stuff like that, or, you know, Spielberg and all that stuff. They need to be inspired by people they've never heard of. Like, Spielberg is a great example. Another great filmmaker in my mind that should be always mentioned is Tarantino, but also Robert Rodriguez. People talk about, you know, low budget movies. So this is the low budget movie. Like, you know, I had a friend once show me a movie called A Simple Plan with Bill Paxton, or is it Bill Pullman? Bill Paxton and what's it, Billy Bob Thornton, and I forget the other guy's name in it, but it was just low point the movie. Basically, these three friends find this plane crash, and they find money in it, and it turns out to be this whole scheme of bank robbers and stuff like that, and they kill a lot of people. They're trying to hide the money and stuff like that, and it's just a very depressing movie. And I kind of like was looking at it going, this is not really a low budget movie. Like you know, it doesn't have any big special effects and shit like that. And that's what I was getting to the point at. It's, if you look at a movie like, say, El Mariachi, that to me is a low budget movie, but it's a fun low budget movie, and that proves to me that you can make a low budget movie without and also like Sam Raimi's Evil Dead. That's another low budget movie. Like, you know, a low budget movie to me is somewhere under, say, $50,000. Like, that's to me is like under a low budget movie. Like, if your budget is no bigger than, say, $1,500, like, the myth of, like, El Mariachi is the fact that he made that movie, Robert Rodriguez made that movie under $7,000. And, like, most of the movies, like, people don't talk about those guys. You know, guys like John Carpenter. Guys like, and also, that's a funny thing, too, because Sam Raimi actually did direct A Simple Plan. Now you get to watch a disgusting man eat egg. So, I'm gonna finish up by just saying this. It's I'll explain to you in the next video why I walked out of film school. I didn't drop out. I walked out. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. So take care. Love you. Bye bye. Peace.